the field much. So then I'll change this. Okay. This one. It's this one, right? I'll change this one. That's right. Okay. Is it okay, Jordan? Yes, okay, so you all know Pedro. Pedro also joined the group back in the day, so I think he's going to talk about this, so I won't anticipate too much, right? So Pedro, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, thanks very much. So I will try, I know we are a little bit behind schedule, so I will try not to elongate myself too much. Let me just say that I was not initially very sure what to say about in this allocated time. So we are celebrating strong gravity, of course, but our group as well. And I thought it would be very nice to give a sort of perspective over time and to think a little bit how the group formed in the past and show a few pictures, go down a memory lane, and then think a little bit about the future, what the future could hold. So I think this sort of vision perspective is quite important. So as Carlos mentioned, the group was formed in 2010, formed by Carlos and Alexandre. And I had a fun act the other day. I was looking through the website and checking all the pages, and it was to see the kind of the timeline over the years. This is not the first group photo that's on the website, but it's one of the first. So it's I was not part of the group back then, but I thought it was nice to give some context because, well, the group is made of people, and I think it's important to give an impression over the years how the group changed. And so this was the Marcel Grossman meeting in Stockholm in July 2012. In the same year, there was a visit to Rio de Janeiro, which I think I heard about. It was a very good place to have caipirinhas. What was it? Yeah. Also in the same year, in 2012, I think just 1 month difference exactly, still in Brazil, in Belém, and I think this was the first photo in the group website about kind of co-joint events in Belém with our group. Then there is not possible going forward to 2014 in Olmes. Only then my first contact with the group happened in around 2014. You can see that, well, I was a little bit younger back then. And essentially the story went, I was a student at the University of Coimbra, and I was interested in doing research in gravity and black holes. And there was a professor there that suggested that I should contact Carlos in Aveiro, and he's very knowledgeable about that. You should give it a try, and I did, and I'm very glad that I did. It has been a privilege to be part of the group since then. So then in 2015, a lot of things happened. So Grav was integrated into SIDME, as was mentioned before. There was also another Marcel Grossman meeting in Rome in June. Then, unknown to the people involved, in September of that year, there was the first direct detection of the gravitational wave signal from the merger of two black holes, but this was not yet made public. And then we had this kind of celebration of the gravity meeting. So the data was already in, but we didn't know. And it was during these events where the first edition of the T-shirt was made. This is kind of actually the logo that was exchanged through the T-shirt company. Then in early 2016, there was the public announcement of the gravitational waves. Then in 2017, there was the data that was not yet released, but there was the data that was collected from the Event Horizon Telescope for the observation of M87 star. Of course, during this time, we didn't know about this. This is a picture of some group members traveling to Mexico, visiting UNAM University. And then in 2019, there was the first image of the black hole shadow that was published by the HT in 2019, which was amply discussed in the Valencia meeting for the GR22 meeting. It was a meeting I vividly recall. It was very interesting. A lot of group members went. Then the pandemic hit, which is kind of not a very pleasant memory, but still it's important to kind of contextualize in the broad scale of time. And this is, for example, this is clear from the image that was still kind of COVID-like because we were with masks, but with the second edition of the t-shirt, then of course things kind of calm down, and now we don't have masks anymore, and this is the GD group activity in the summer, which is also very nice. You can see people with different versions of the t-shirt. Then the third version of the t-shirt was made in 2023 in this meeting in São Pedro do Sul, which I really enjoyed. I think it was quite nice. We should do something similar again sometime. And then fast going almost close to today. This was almost a year ago. It was a celebration dinner for the faculty position of António Moraes, and also the PhD thesis of Nuno Santos. And then we are here today. So this is the kind of the celebration of the group and also of the field, and with the fourth version of the t-shirt. Okay, so that is all very nice. And looking back, we can see that the group has worked on several topics over the years, from gravitational lensing to obtaining equilibrium space-time solutions, which is the elliptic problem, evolving space-times dynamically over time, which is hyperbolic problem. That also a lot of different expertises, more recently GRMHD and accretion flow, a lot of work in high-energy physics, more in the past a little bit on cosmology, celestial mechanics and astrophysics, some mathematical physics, and many other topics, of course. So, of course, some of the driving questions, I tried to think a little bit about this, and this is only some driving questions. It's not kind of an exhaustive list of questions that I've conducted research so far in the group. I would say are the following. How does gravity behave in the very strong regime? And does it truly follow GR? What is the true nature of astrophysical black holes? And what is the nature of dark matter? And can it be probed with strong gravitational fields? And I don't have to tell this audience, these questions remain essentially open. They are still very important and open problems. And it's looking forward to the future, it's very interesting because there are upcoming observations that can help us, hopefully, to provide some answers to this. So now is the future part. So in the set of time scale, I tried to collect a few data on the big experiments going online. So within the 5 next years, we expect some versions of the next generation EHT to become online, with the full operation starting around 2030. For the SK observatory, which is kind of important for our field to detect pulsar timing arrays, which could give a way to detect gravitational waves indirectly through pulsar and interacting with black holes. And then a little bit further in the future, around 2035, although this is starts to get a little bit blurry, there is the scheduled LISA mission to start in 2035, and also the Einstein's telescope more or less, and there is a huge uncertainty, of course. But the key point is that we should stay the course, that we should expect new data to be on the horizon soon, and so we should keep pushing these questions that I mentioned. I think we live indeed in a privileged time where in the near future we can expect a lot of data coming in. But it's also very important to mention another thing that will influence our future, which is the artificial intelligence and the dawn of artificial intelligence. So let me just say a few words about this. I had a look online. ChatGPT actually was introduced in 2020, not that far away, but my personal contact with ChatGPT was actually during a Christmas lunch by the group GRAV in December of 2022. I have to thank Miguel Zion for this. It was in Restaurant Ceboleiros. I remember this very distinctively. It was not that long ago. And I don't have to say that, well, ChatGPT has another platform since then has kind of revolutionized the way we do science. And now we have ChatGPT 5, and it's only only a powerful language model. In a way, it reflects the collective knowledge of human writing. It doesn't really know what it's saying. So, in a way, these kind of large language models can be used as a tool that we, as researchers, can do to increase our productivity. So, it cannot do our job for us, at least unsupervised. That is all very well. In terms of vision for the next years, I would like to introduce the discussion about AGIs. So an AGI is essentially an artificial general intelligence, and the difference is that it would, in principle, this doesn't exist yet, would be able to acquire and apply knowledge in an autonomous way, and would be comfortable pursuing open-end goals and so on in a very much human-like manner. So the key point is that while ChatGPT can describe us how to do physics, an AGI that doesn't exist yet would actually be able to do new physics and research in new physics. So it would be able to do our jobs for us and supervised. So and the reason why I'm talking about this is because it's about perspectives for the future and trying to start perhaps a discussion about this, because in terms of predictions of when this will happen, the low bound is within 5 to 10 years, but the most likely scenario is within 10 to 20 years. So on this time scale, it's not that far into the future. So I think it's important to have this sort of conversation. So it could just be around the corner. And after all, ChatGPT would have looked like science fiction in 2015, which is, in the history of the group, it was not far back. So, of course, if this sort of artificial general intelligence arrives, it would change completely the society and the meaning of work itself. Perhaps now I'm going in a more speculative direction. Perhaps ideas like universal basic income would be necessary to avoid economic collapse. But essentially for us, this brings a very deep question. If you don't need to work for money, would you still do research? What would be the benefit for society then? And well, if a true artificial intelligence can do research, perhaps our task is to remember why we do research and why our work mattered in the first place. Wow. And with that, I will leave you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pedro, for the very interesting questions to start with. That will be subject of conversation at lunch and dinner, I'm sure. So should we move on? I think the next speaker is Miguel.